How do I drop a friend without confrontation? Recently, my best friend has been annoying me. I don't think I get annoyed or jealous easily, but this has really annoyed me. We argued yesterday because I hadn't been opening her text, and to sum it up, she said, "You should make time for me because I'm your best friend." Am I wrong to think she's wrong? I said sorry because I didn't want to argue, but other things have been happening, like her blatantly ignoring me, making plans with other people right in front of me. Also, she isn't the kindest person. Not to get into specifics, but an example, she called her ex-boyfriend racist comments and harassed him, then got with his best friend 3 days later. All in all, I don't enjoy her company anymore, and I find myself ignoring her texts or looking for excuses to not hang out. How do I stop being friends with her and not cause confrontation, or at least take a break and not cause confrontation?
There's a documentary about this called The Banshees of Inisherin.
That's a good movie.
Thank you. Was that not a joke that landed with you guys
I've never heard of this, so I was like,
You haven't?
This documentary.
It was nominated for like 8 Oscars, dude.
I never
pretty
heard
new.
of it.
It stars Colin Farrell, man.
I was ready to hear about this documentary about these two dumb
I haven't
fucking
been to
girls.
the movies.
That's so funny. It's my favorite movie that came out in the last year. It was like a big hit. And anyway, it's a movie
We
about...
just looked at you like we were fucking
that was
dumb.
so
We're just
insane.
like,
I thought that was really going to land, man. And look, it might have also just been a dog shit joke. Who knows? But
I'll
no,
watch the movie and then I'll be
should.
like,
I actually
that was pretty good.
and the one of the reasons it's a joke is it's a movie about that, but what happens in the movie is fucking insane. So it starts with it's these two men who they live on a remote island on the coast of Ireland in like the 1920s, while on the mainland the like troubles are happening, the Civil War is happening.
Yeah.
But it's just this tiny one-horse town with a little pub. And every single day, Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson have beers at the pub. But when the movie starts, Colin Farrell goes to meet Brendan Gleeson to go to the pub together, and Brendan Gleeson doesn't want to hang out with him. And then the movie is just these two grown men dealing with the fact that Brendan Gleeson no longer wants to hang out with his best friend, and it drives Colin Farrell fucking insane. And he can't accept it, but he's just sweet and nice, and so it's just these two Irishmen like, why don't you want me around? Like it's but then what ends up happening is that Brendan Gleeson, it's adorable.
It's profoundly sad though, in a
so
weird way.
sad.
And like I could totally see, this is gonna sound so lame, but I could totally see like the setting of that little town in Ireland just making it so kind of like that dreary dread feeling when it's like out there alone in this tiny town and
Yes.
there's nobody else, and
It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, but I also have close friends that are like, that movie was so sad I wanted to die.
yeah, that sounds
didn't they
profoundly
do a
sad.
movie together already?
So that's the thing, is that
In
guy
Bruges or whatever, right?
Right, so it's made by the same guy.
guy.
Martin McDonagh is the writer-director. He made Seven Psychopaths, and he made In Bruges. He also made Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I think is the worst movie ever fucking made. But it won an Oscar. I hated that movie. A lot of people loved it. But yeah, they've done a bunch of shit together, and oh my God, I love that movie.
I gotta watch. I saw like an ad for it on like Netflix or something. I was like scrolling through, and I literally remember seeing the two of them on the
Yeah.
cover, and it said that name. I go, no, that's in Bruges.
It's sort of it's sort of like a
was
spiritual sequel in a
Yeah.
Can he do a spoiler alert? I want to hear like
I don't care.
what's the
So it ends up okay. Spoiler alert! Shut it off if you haven't seen the movie and you want to. But like, what
Or just
happens
shut it
is,
off.
yeah, and unfollow me on Instagram. And so what happens is, Colin Farrell like just cannot understand. He keeps going to Brendan Gleeson's house and being like, "You want to get a beer at the pub?" And he's like, "I fucking told you, I don't want to hang out." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Brendan Gleeson ends up telling Colin Farrell, "If you don't stop talking to me, every time you talk to me, I'm going to cut a finger off." And Colin Farrell doesn't believe him. He talks to him. He cuts his thumb off and throws it at Colin Farrell's door. And then Colin Farrell still doesn't really believe him. And then he cuts every other finger off on his hand and walks over to Colin Farrell's house and throws them at the house. And then Colin Farrell's other best friend is the donkey he owns. And the donkey eats one of the fingers and dies. And Colin Farrell is so broken up about it that he burns Brendan Gleeson's house down. And so that's why
What the
it was
fuck?
funny to me that I was saying it's a documentary about how to do this, because it is not instructive at all about how to solve
Cut
this
your
problem.
fingers off, lady.
It's,
Then you can't text.
but
and
the
it's
point is that
perfect.
it's kind of like, it is one of the hardest things because there's no infrastructure in a platonic relationship for breaking it off at all. And I don't even know what to do. Except the thing is that because of that, you don't fucking have to hang out with this person. You could just cut them off, dude. I've done that before. Sometimes you just have to, and sometimes I've done it like a couple times in my life, and it wasn't because I don't love the person. It wasn't because I hate them or I think they're a piece of shit. It was because friend-wise, we were just not locking in anymore, and it was difficult. And then it just didn't work, and it was time to say, like, that chapter's over. And if you say that to someone's face, it's so painful. So sometimes I just think the way to deal with it is to, like, slowly let it go. And there's no other way to do it, and it's sad and it hurts, but it doesn't mean that fuck them or fuck you. It's just how life is, you know?
And you can just not respond.
Exactly. I think
You
that's
can
the only
literally
way.
just not respond at all.
Yeah.
Eventually, they'll stop messaging you, and then that's it. And then it's over. And then one day you'll see each other awkwardly.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, hey, how are you? And maybe things will be different by then. But
And also the reason it's
you both seem awful in this thing. At first,
Yeah, she does seem awful.
at first you're on her side and you're like, yeah, man, this friend sounds like they suck. And then she gets to like the second half of that little email, and I'm like, you guys are both pretty awful people.
Totally.
That sounds like.
Also, the other thing that happens in situations like that is like normally you both don't want to hang out anymore, and one of you realizes it, and then the only reason the other person fights you on wanting to hang out is because it's hurting their feelings that you're backing off. And when you finally stop hanging out, they will immediately realize they didn't want to hang out with you either.